First story, by Rachel Thompson. It was a cold autumn evening when I moved into the quaint town of Brookhaven, nestled in the hills of upstate New York. The real estate agent had assured me that the house I purchased was a charming fixer-upper, but nothing could have prepared me for the chilling reality that awaited within its walls. The house, an imposing Victorian structure with a faded coat of paint, stood at the end of an eerily quiet cul-de-sac. Its windows, darkened by the encroaching twilight, seemed to peer into the depths of my unease. The neighborhood itself appeared to have been frozen in time, with overgrown lawns and houses that exuded an air of neglect. My closest neighbor, Mrs. Anderson, lived in a dilapidated house next door. A widow of many years, she was known for her eccentricities and reclusive nature. Rumors circulated among the locals about strange noises emanating from her property at odd hours, but I dismissed them as mere gossip. One night, unable to sleep due to a persistent tapping sound that echoed through my bedroom, I decided to investigate. The rhythmic noise seemed to originate from Mrs. Anderson's house. With a cautious curiosity, I approached her front door. A faint glow emanated from the gaps in the drawn curtains, casting an eerie silhouette of the widow moving about inside. As the tapping persisted, I mustered the courage to knock on her door. The moment stretched, and the tapping ceased. Mrs. Anderson opened the door, her eyes reflecting a mixture of surprise and suspicion. In a hushed voice, I inquired about the tapping sound. Mrs. Anderson's response was cryptic, a mere shrug of her shoulders accompanied by an enigmatic smile. It left me with more questions than answers. As I retreated to my house, the tapping resumed, echoing through the stillness of the night. Days turned into weeks, and the strange occurrences within the house escalated. Objects would move on their own, and peculiar shadows danced on the walls. One evening, as I descended into the basement to investigate a persistent dripping sound, I stumbled upon a concealed room. The room was adorned with arcane symbols, flickering candles, and an assortment of curious objects that defied explanation. A chilling realization washed over me. The house harbored a history far darker than its dilapidated exterior suggested. As I delved deeper into the mysterious room, I uncovered a collection of old photographs depicting Mrs. Anderson engaged in peculiar rituals. The tapping sound, it seemed, was a part of her unnerving practices that echoed through the hidden chamber. Haunted by the discoveries, I confronted Mrs. Anderson about the secrets within my house. Her demeanor shifted, and she spoke of an ancient covenant that bound her to the property. The tapping, a ritual to appease malevolent forces, was a part of her obligation. Determined to break free from the ominous ties that bound my house, I sought the guidance of a local historian. Through painstaking research, we unearthed the dark history of the Victorian mansion, a history that involved occult practices and unspeakable rituals conducted by previous owners. As the historian and I delved into cleansing the house of its malevolent energy, the encounters with Mrs. Anderson intensified. She became a spectral presence, appearing at the periphery of my vision with a mournful expression. The rituals disrupted, the forces that once held her in bondage sought retribution. In a final confrontation, Mrs. Anderson, now a vessel for the malevolent forces, unleashed a torrent of supernatural fury. The house shook, and ethereal screams reverberated through its halls. With the historian's guidance, we completed the cleansing ritual, banishing the dark entities that gripped my home. The once imposing Victorian mansion, now devoid of its supernatural presence, stood in eerie silence. Mrs. Anderson, freed from the malevolent forces, vanished into the shadows, leaving behind a town haunted by the lingering echoes of its occult history. As I moved away from Brookhaven, the memories of that chilling ordeal remained etched in my mind. The quaint town, with its hidden horrors, served as a reminder that some houses carry a legacy of darkness that transcends the passage of time. Second Story, by Samuel Harris. Nestled in the heart of the Midwest, the small town of Silver Creek harbored a secret that lurked behind the facade of an old farmhouse. My arrival in the town, seeking a peaceful retreat from the bustling city, turned into a descent into the unnerving depths of an inexplicable mystery. The farmhouse, a weathered relic of a bygone era, sat at the end of a desolate dirt road. Its time-worn boards creaked with each gust of wind, and the windows, like vacant eyes, stared into the overgrown fields that surrounded the property. The townsfolk spoke of the house in hushed whispers, attributing a dark history to its abandoned halls. My curiosity got the better of me one evening as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting elongated shadows across the fields. Armed with a flashlight, I ventured into the farmhouse, its door groaning in protest as I entered. The air inside hung heavy with the scent of dust and neglect. The creaking floorboards amplified every step, creating an eerie symphony that echoed through the desolate halls. As I explored the rooms, a subtle whispering sound teased the edges of my awareness. Dismissing it as a product of my imagination, I continued my exploration. It was in the dimly lit kitchen that the strange occurrences intensified. The tap of footsteps echoed through the hallway, yet I found myself alone in the house. The unsettling feeling of being watched gnawed at the edges of my sanity. Shadows seemed to dance in the corners of my vision, and the temperature within the house plummeted. As the night deepened, a series of inexplicable events unfolded. Doors slammed shut with a force that defied the stillness of the air. Murmurs echoed through the empty rooms, and the flickering light bulbs cast erratic shadows on the peeling wallpaper. A sense of dread gripped me as I realized that I was not alone in the farmhouse. With trepidation, I ascended the creaking staircase that led to the upper floor. The whispering grew more pronounced, now forming into spectral voices that spoke of forgotten tragedies. Each step seemed to reverberate with the residual pain of a past that refused to be buried. In one of the bedrooms, I encountered the source of the haunting, a weathered journal that chronicled the life of the farmhouse's previous inhabitants. The entries spoke of a family torn apart by tragedy, their anguished spirits lingering within the decaying walls. The farmhouse, it seemed, bore witness to a legacy of sorrow that transcended the passage of time. As I delved into the journal's pages, a chilling presence manifested, a spectral figure that materialized at the foot of the bed. The air grew thick with a mournful energy as the apparition, a visage of anguish and despair, gazed into my eyes. It spoke of unresolved pain and the need for closure that eluded its tormented soul. Determined to bring peace to the lingering spirits, I sought the guidance of a local historian. Together, we unraveled the tragic tale that had left the farmhouse haunted by the echoes of a fractured family. The historian, well versed in paranormal phenomena, devised a plan to lay the spirits to rest. As the clock struck midnight, we conducted a ritual that sought to ease the lingering anguish within the farmhouse. Candles flickered in the darkness, and the air resonated with the haunting melody of spectral voices. The apparitions, their faces etched with both sorrow and gratitude, dissipated into the ether. The farmhouse, once a haven for unresolved spirits, stood in solemn silence. The oppressive atmosphere lifted, leaving behind a sense of peace that had long been absent. As I left Silver Creek, The memory of the haunted farmhouse served as a reminder that some places carry the weight of untold tragedies, a legacy that can only be vanquished through the catharsis of closure. Third Story, by Melissa Carter. In the picturesque town of Crestwood, nestled among the rolling hills of Vermont, I stumbled upon an old mansion that seemed to defy the passage of time. The house, an imposing structure with ivy-covered walls, stood at the edge of town, casting a somber shadow over the neighboring fields. The mansion's enigmatic history became the subject of local lore. Stories of strange occurrences, eerie sounds, and inexplicable lights emanating from its windows permeated the whispers of the townsfolk. Intrigued by the mysterious reputation of the house, I decided to embark on an exploration that would unravel the secrets hidden within its walls. On a crisp autumn day, I approached the mansion with a mixture of trepidation and curiosity. The wrought iron gates, rusted with age, groaned as I pushed them open. The overgrown garden, once manicured and vibrant, now seemed like nature's attempt to reclaim the land. As I ascended the grand staircase leading to the entrance, the front door opened with a haunting creak, as if welcoming me into the heart of the mystery. The air inside the mansion hung heavy with the scent of decay, and dust motes danced in the dim light filtering through cracked windows. The rooms unfolded before me like chapters of a forgotten tale. In the parlor, faded portraits of a family long gone adorned the walls. The dining hall echoed with the phantom laughter of festive gatherings, and the library shelves held books that had not been touched in decades. Each step within the mansion felt like a journey through time, unveiling the echoes of lives lived and forgotten. As I delved deeper into the labyrinthine corridors, a subtle sound reverberated, a soft, melodic piano playing from a distant room. The music, haunting and melancholic, tugged at the strings of nostalgia. Following the ethereal melody, I arrived at the grand ballroom. There, bathed in the dim light, stood a spectral pianist, a translucent figure whose fingers danced upon the ivory keys. The music, a reflection of bygone elegance, filled the ballroom with a spectral symphony. The apparition, lost in the rhythm of its own creation, seemed unaware of my presence. Mesmerized by the spectral performance, I became an unwitting audience to a ghostly recital. The room resonated with the echoes of a past era, and the air seemed to shimmer with the energy of a bygone celebration. The mansion, it appeared, retained the imprints of a family's joy that transcended the boundaries of the living. As the final notes of the piano faded into the silence, the spectral pianist turned towards me. Its eyes, filled with a profound sadness, met mine. Without uttering a word, the apparition vanished, leaving the ballroom in a profound stillness. Determined to uncover the truth behind the haunting music, I delved into the mansion's history. Local archives revealed that the mansion was once the residence of the prestigious Sterling family, known for their lavish parties and cultural contributions to Crestwood. However, tragedy struck the Sterling family during a grand celebration in the ballroom. A fire, sparked by a faulty electrical wiring, claimed the lives of several family members, including the gifted pianist, Emily Sterling. The mansion, now a silent witness to the past, became the stage for Emily's eternal recital. Haunted by the spectral encounter, I sought the guidance of a paranormal investigator. Together, we conducted a séance in the grand ballroom, inviting the spirits to share their stories. The room pulsated with energy as apparitions manifested, their faces reflecting a mixture of joy and sorrow. Through the séance, we learned that Emily's spirit had lingered in the mansion, bound by the unfinished symphony of her life. The investigator, well versed in spiritual transitions, guided Emily towards the light, allowing her to find peace beyond the haunted confines of the mansion. As the last echoes of the spectral piano faded, the mansion stood in profound silence. The lingering spirits, having found closure, dissolved into the ether. Crestwood, once burdened by the weight of its haunted history, embraced a newfound tranquility. Leaving the town behind, I carried the memory of the mansion's spectral ballroom, a testament to the enduring power of music that transcends the boundaries between the living and the departed. Fourth Story, by Benjamin Reynolds. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the quiet neighborhood of Ashcroft, a small community in the outskirts of Seattle. Among the ordinary houses with neatly trimmed lawns, there stood one that seemed to defy the norms, a dilapidated Victorian mansion that loomed at the end of Oak Street. The mansion, a relic of a bygone era, drew my attention like a moth to a flame. Locals spoke of it in hushed tones, attributing its disrepair to a cursed history. A series of tragic events, from mysterious disappearances to unexplained accidents, had shrouded the mansion in an air of dread. Intrigued by the ominous reputation, I decided to explore the mysterious house one chilly autumn evening. The wind whispered through the overgrown trees as I approached the wrought iron gate, its hinges protesting with a mournful squeak as I pushed it open. The path leading to the mansion was overgrown with weeds, and the grand entrance, once a welcoming sight, now stood as a testament to the passage of time. The air surrounding the mansion felt heavy with the weight of unseen eyes, and the faded paint on the exterior seemed to exude a sense of foreboding. As I crossed the threshold into the mansion, the temperature dropped noticeably. A peculiar hush enveloped the interior, broken only by the creaking of the floorboards beneath my cautious footsteps. The walls, adorned with dusty portraits of long-forgotten inhabitants, seemed to bear witness to a history that refused to be buried. In the parlor, a flickering candle cast dancing shadows on the wallpaper, creating an illusion of movement within the stagnant air. The silence was broken by a distant sound, a soft weeping that seemed to emanate from the upper floors. Intrigued and unnerved, I ascended the grand staircase. The weeping grew louder as I reached the second floor, leading me to a door slightly ajar. Pushing it open, I discovered a room frozen in time, a nursery adorned with faded wallpaper and antique toys. In the center of the room stood a spectral figure, a woman in a tattered Victorian gown, her face obscured by a veil. The apparition, seemingly trapped in a perpetual state of grief, continued to weep. Her mournful sobs reverberated through the room, creating an atmosphere thick with sorrow. I hesitated, unsure of how to interact with the ghostly presence that lingered within the nursery. With a tentative approach, I spoke softly to the specter, inquiring about the source of her grief. The woman's ethereal form turned towards me, her tearful eyes meeting mine. Through a series of ghostly whispers, she revealed the tragic tale that bound her spirit to the mansion. The woman, Amelia Hastings, was a resident of Ashcroft in the late 19th century. Her husband, a prosperous merchant, had built the mansion as a testament to their love. However, their happiness was short-lived. A series of unfortunate events, including the loss of their infant daughter, led to the unraveling of the Hastings family. Amelia's spirit, unable to find solace in the afterlife, remained tethered to the mansion. The nursery, a place of both joy and heartache, became a focal point for her lingering grief. The spectral presence of her daughter, forever preserved as an infant, haunted the room. Determined to bring closure to Amelia's tormented spirit, I sought the guidance of a local medium. Together, we conducted a séance in the nursery, inviting the ghostly presence to share its final moments. The room became charged with ethereal energy, and the air seemed to thicken with the anticipation of a supernatural revelation. Through the séance, we facilitated a heartfelt conversation between Amelia and her spectral daughter. The ethereal reunion unfolded in a dance of emotions, culminating in a spectral embrace that transcended the boundaries of the living and the departed. As the reunion reached its peak, a blinding light enveloped the nursery. When the light subsided, the nursery stood empty, devoid of the spectral presence that had haunted it for decades. The mansion, once steeped in a legacy of tragedy, embraced a newfound serenity. The weight of its cursed history lifted, allowing the house to fade into the background of the ordinary neighborhood. As I left Ashcroft behind, the memory of the haunted mansion lingered, a reminder that even in the most unassuming places, the echoes of the past can shape the present in ways that defy explanation. The Victorian relic, now a silent witness to the resolution of its haunted history, stood as a testament to the enduring power of closure in the face of spectral sorrow. Fifth Story, by Charlotte Turner. In the heart of the bustling city of San Francisco, where the city lights dance against the evening sky, there stood an inconspicuous apartment building that harbored a dark secret. The building, nestled among the towering structures of the financial district, seemed like any other residential complex. However, its unassuming exterior concealed a tale of malevolence that would unravel in the most unexpected manner. I moved into the apartment building on a crisp spring day, eager to embrace the vibrant city life. My unit, located on the 6th floor, boasted a panoramic view of the city skyline. Little did I know that the seemingly ordinary apartment would become the epicenter of an unfolding nightmare. The first inkling of the building's sinister nature occurred one night as I lay in bed, drifting into the realms of sleep. A distant sound, akin to muffled whispers, permeated the silence. At first, I dismissed it as a product of my imagination, an auditory illusion that often accompanies the transition from wakefulness to slumber. However, as the nights progressed, the whispers grew more pronounced, evolving into indistinct conversations that seemed to emanate from the walls themselves. The sensation of being observed intensified, as if unseen eyes scrutinized every move within the confines of the apartment. An eerie unease settled into the very fabric of the building. Unable to ignore the unsettling atmosphere, I began to investigate the history of the apartment building. Local archives revealed a series of unexplained deaths that had occurred within its walls over the decades. Accidents, suicides, and inexplicable tragedies wove a tapestry of sorrow that clung to the building like a malevolent specter. The 6th floor, it appeared, bore witness to a higher concentration of these incidents. Determined to uncover the truth, I reached out to longtime residents, hoping to glean insights into the paranormal undercurrents that pulsed through the building. One elderly resident, Mrs. Ramirez, recounted tales of strange occurrences that had plagued the 6th floor for as long as she could remember. Whispers in the dead of night, spectral figures that wandered the hallways, and an unshakable feeling of being watched were among the recurring themes of the building's haunted history. Driven by a sense of unease, I enlisted the help of a paranormal investigator, a renowned expert in the field. Together, we conducted a thorough examination of the 6th floor, armed with electronic voice phenomena recorders, infrared cameras, and other paranormal detection equipment. As we delved into the investigation, the atmosphere on the 6th floor became palpably charged. Electronic devices malfunctioned, and the air seemed to hum with an otherworldly energy. The investigator, well versed in deciphering paranormal phenomena, detected anomalies that defied logical explanation. In one particular unit, we encountered a spectral figure, an apparition with hollow eyes that stared into the depths of our souls. The figure, seemingly trapped in a state of perpetual despair, communicated through chilling whispers that echoed through the apartment. Through the investigator's skills, we established a connection with the spirit. The entity, a former resident named Michael Harris, revealed a tragic tale of unrequited love and betrayal that had led to his untimely demise. The sixth floor, it seemed, became a haunting ground for souls bound by unresolved emotions. Driven by compassion, I sought to bring closure to Michael's tormented spirit. With the guidance of a psychic medium, we conducted a spiritual cleansing ritual that aimed to release the lingering energy that held Michael in bondage. The ritual, a delicate dance between the living and the departed, unfolded in the dimly lit hallways of the sixth floor. As the ritual reached its climax, a profound calm settled over the building. The whispers ceased, and the oppressive atmosphere lifted. The sixth floor, once a nexus of paranormal activity, embraced a newfound tranquility. Michael's spirit, freed from the shackles of its tragic past, dissolved into the ethereal unknown. Leaving the apartment building behind, I carried the weight of its haunted history as a reminder that even in the heart of a bustling city, the echoes of the past can reverberate through the present. The building, now liberated from the specter of its dark history, faded into the backdrop of the cityscape, a testament to the transformative power of closure. Sixth Story, by Marcus Thompson. On the outskirts of Charleston, South Carolina, surrounded by dense marshes and the timeless allure of the Lowcountry, there stood a plantation house with a history steeped in Southern Gothic mystique. The McAllister Mansion, a grand antebellum residence, exuded an air of faded elegance that belied the darkness hidden within its ornate walls. I first encountered the McAllister Mansion during a visit to Charleston, drawn by the allure of its haunted reputation. The plantation house, framed by moss-draped oaks and surrounded by fields that whispered with the echoes of history, seemed frozen in time. As I entered the mansion, guided by the flickering flame of a lantern, the air turned thick with a palpable tension. The grand staircase, adorned with a tattered red carpet, seemed to lead into the depths of a bygone era. Antique furniture, draped in dusty sheets, hinted at a history overshadowed by the weight of forgotten secrets. The first night within the mansion brought an unsettling revelation. As I lay in a creaking four-poster bed, shadows danced on the walls, casting spectral forms that seemed to materialize from the darkness. Whispers, barely audible, drifted through the halls, carrying tales of tragedy and betrayal that lingered within the mansion's storied past. Determined to unravel the mysteries of the McAllister Mansion, I embarked on a journey through its shadowed corridors. The portraits that adorned the walls gazed with stern expressions, and the faded wallpaper bore witness to the passage of time. As I explored the mansion's nooks and crannies, a presence seemed to accompany my every step, a spectral guardian that watched from the periphery of my vision. One night, as the moon cast an ethereal glow through the windows, I discovered a hidden chamber within the mansion. The room, concealed behind a bookshelf, unveiled a collection of letters and artifacts that chronicled the McAllister family's tumultuous history. Tales of forbidden love, clandestine affairs, and a tragic lineage of lost heirs unfolded in the yellowed pages of forgotten correspondence. The matriarch of the McAllister family, Margaret, had borne witness to a series of unspeakable events that marred the mansion's history. The letters spoke of a cursed love affair that led to a family curse, a malevolent force that claimed the lives of generations within the McAllister bloodline. The discovery of the hidden chambers seemed to awaken dormant spirits within the mansion. Apparitions, clad in antebellum attire, manifested in the hallways. Their sorrowful gazes bore the weight of untold tales, and the air resonated with the echoes of a family trapped in a cycle of despair. Intrigued by the unfolding narrative, I sought the expertise of a local historian versed in the lore of southern plantations. Together, we unraveled the layers of tragedy that shrouded the McAllister family, a saga that spanned centuries and transcended the boundaries of the living and the spectral. As we delved into the history of the plantation, a storm gathered outside, its fury mirroring the tumultuous emotions that enveloped the McAllister mansion. The historian, armed with ancestral knowledge and a deep respect for the ethereal, guided me through a series of rituals aimed at breaking the curse that bound the McAllister family. In the heart of the mansion, we conducted a séance that summoned the spirits of the McAllister ancestors. The room vibrated with a spectral energy as apparitions materialized, their faces etched with both sorrow and gratitude. The historian, acting as a conduit between the realms, facilitated a dialogue that bridged the gap between the living and the departed. Through the séance, we learned that Margaret McAllister, burdened by the weight of her family's curse, had sought redemption in the afterlife. The curse, fueled by a tragic love affair and a series of unresolved grievances, had ensnared the McAllister spirits within the confines of the mansion. With the historian's guidance, we enacted a ritual that aimed to release the spirits from their spectral chains. Candles flickered, and the air resonated with the ethereal vibrations of ancestral voices. As the ritual reached its crescendo, a blinding light enveloped the McAllister mansion. When the light subsided, the mansion stood in profound silence. The storm outside had dissipated, leaving behind a tranquil night. The McAllister spirits, having found closure, dissolved into the ether, their spectral forms vanishing into the tapestry of Southern history. Leaving the McAllister mansion behind, I carried the weight of its haunted legacy, a reminder that even the grandest of Southern plantations could harbor secrets that transcended the boundaries of time. Charleston, with its cobblestone streets and moss-laden oaks, held within its embrace a tapestry of stories, some of which could only be unveiled through a journey into the heart of the haunted past. Seventh Story, by Olivia Anderson. The quaint village of Dunbridge, nestled amid the rolling hills of England, harbored a secret that lingered within the time-worn walls of a centuries-old cottage. The cottage, a picturesque dwelling with a thatched roof and ivy-covered facade, seemed like the epitome of rural charm. Little did I know that my stay within its confines would unveil a tale of spectral anguish woven into the very fabric of its history. My journey to Dunbridge began as a quest for solitude, a desire to escape the cacophony of city life. The cottage, available for short-term rentals, presented itself as the perfect retreat. As I crossed the threshold into its hallowed halls, a sense of tranquility enveloped me, a fleeting illusion that masked the eerie stillness that lay beneath. The first night brought with it an unsettling introduction to the cottage's haunting legacy. As I lay in the antique four-poster bed, a chill pervaded the room. The air seemed to hum with a spectral energy, and the shadows danced in the moonlight as if guided by unseen hands. Whispers, barely audible, echoed through the narrow corridors, carrying the weight of forgotten conversations. Determined to unravel the mystery that clung to the cottage, I delved into its history through conversations with locals and dusty archives. The tale that emerged spoke of a tragedy that transpired centuries ago, a forbidden love affair that ended in betrayal and bloodshed. The cottage, it seemed, bore witness to a legacy of anguish that transcended the passage of time. One stormy night, as rain lashed against the window panes, I discovered a hidden chamber beneath the cottage. The subterranean space, accessed through a creaky trapdoor in the kitchen, revealed a trove of artifacts that hinted at the tragic tale that unfolded within its walls. Faded letters, stained with age, narrated the love affair between Eleanor, the daughter of a nobleman, and William, a humble stable hand. Their clandestine meetings in the hidden chamber had culminated in tragedy, a discovery that led to a violent confrontation and ultimately claimed their lives. The spectral residue of their doomed love lingered within the cottage, manifesting as ethereal echoes that reverberated through the stone walls. As I explored the hidden chamber, a presence seemed to stir, the lingering essence of Eleanor and William, forever trapped in a dance of tragic passion. Determined to offer solace to their tormented spirits, I enlisted the help of a paranormal investigator versed in ancient hauntings. Armed with ancient rituals and an understanding of spectral transitions, the investigator and I conducted a séance in the hidden chamber. The air crackled with an otherworldly energy as the ghosts of Eleanor and William manifested before us. Their spectral forms, bathed in a soft, silvery glow, exuded both sorrow and longing. Through the séance, we facilitated a dialogue between the living and the departed, a conversation that traversed the boundaries of love and despair. The investigator, a conduit for the ethereal energies, guided Eleanor and William towards a resolution that would free their spirits from the shackles of the past. As the séance reached its zenith, a burst of light enveloped the hidden chamber. The spectral forms of Eleanor and William, united in a final embrace, dissipated into the ephemeral unknown. The air within the cottage seemed to exhale, releasing the weight of centuries-old sorrow. Leaving Dunbridge behind, I carried the memory of the cottage's haunted history, a reminder that even the most idyllic landscapes could harbor tales of love and loss that echoed through the ages. The village, with its cobblestone streets and centuries-old architecture, cradled within its embrace a legacy that had found closure beneath the thatched roof of a hidden chamber. Eighth Story, by Edward Harrington. In the remote hills of the Scottish Highlands, where the misty moors stretch endlessly, there stood a solitary manor that bore the scars of a tragic history. The MacLeod Manor, an imposing structure with turrets that reached towards the heavens, cast a brooding silhouette against the backdrop of the rugged landscape. Little did I know that my stay within its ancient halls would unravel a tale of ancestral betrayal and spectral retribution. My journey to the Scottish Highlands began as a quest for ancestral connection, a desire to explore the roots of my family tree. The MacLeod Manor, once the seat of the MacLeod clan, promised a glimpse into the tapestry of my heritage. As I crossed the threshold into its cavernous halls, a chill clung to the air, a harbinger of the tumultuous history that lay shrouded within. The first night within the manor brought an unsettling introduction to its haunted legacy. As I explored the dimly lit corridors, the portraits of long-deceased ancestors seemed to follow my every move with stern gazes. Whispered voices, carried by the wind that seeped through the cracks in the walls, spoke of a betrayal that had stained the MacLeod name for generations. Determined to uncover the truth, I delved into the archives of the manor, poring over ancient manuscripts and faded family records. The tale that emerged spoke of a centuries-old feud between two branches of the MacLeod clan, a conflict fueled by greed, envy, and a forbidden love that shattered the fragile bonds of kinship. One stormy night, as the wind howled through the highlands, I discovered a hidden chamber beneath the manor. The chamber, access to a narrow passageway concealed behind a tapestry, unveiled a cache of artifacts that chronicled the feud's violent climax. Swords, tattered banners, and a cryptic tome hinted at the macabre rituals that had unfolded within the manor's shadowed depths. As I immersed myself in the hidden chamber's secrets, a spectral presence seemed to stir, a manifestation of ancestral spirits that lingered within the manor's ancient walls. The ethereal echoes of their long-forgotten quarrels reverberated through the stone passages, creating an unsettling symphony that transcended the boundaries of time. Driven by a sense of duty to my lineage, I enlisted the help of a local historian with a profound knowledge of Highland folklore. Together, we conducted a séance in the heart of the manor, a chamber that bore witness to the culmination of the ancestral feud. The air pulsed with an otherworldly energy as apparitions materialized, their faces etched with both regret and resentment. Through the séance, we communicated with the spirits of the feuding ancestors, a dialogue that traversed the chasm between the living and the departed. The historian, attuned to the ancient rhythms of Highland mysticism, facilitated a reconciliation that aimed to bring closure to the lingering echoes of betrayal. As the séance reached its zenith, a spectral light enveloped the manor. The ancestral spirits, weary from centuries of conflict, dissolved into the ethereal unknown. The air within the manor seemed to breathe a sigh of relief, as if liberated from the weight of a feud that had spanned generations. Leaving the Scottish Highlands behind, I carried the legacy of the MacLeod Manor, a reminder that even the most majestic structures could cradle tales of familial discord. The misty moors, with their haunting beauty, concealed within their folds a narrative that had found resolution within the ancient halls of a manor lost in time. Ninth Story, by Olivia Bennet. In the heart of the French Quarter, New Orleans, where the vibrant energy of the city intertwines with the mystique of the supernatural, I encountered a peculiar bookstore with an otherworldly charm. Le Librairie d'Amber, nestled between centuries-old buildings and shadowed alleyways, beckoned with an air of antiquity that hinted at the esoteric knowledge concealed within its shelves. My fascination with the occult drew me into the dimly lit bookstore, where dusty tomes and ancient manuscripts lined the shelves. The proprietor, a wizened figure named Madame Celestine, greeted me with an enigmatic smile. Her eyes, as deep as the midnight sky, seemed to hold the secrets of 1,000 lifetimes. As I perused the shelves, an old leather-bound book caught my attention. Its cover, adorned with intricate symbols and an embossed emblem, emanated an otherworldly aura. Intrigued, I approached Madame Celestine and inquired about the mysterious tome. The elderly proprietor, her voice a melodic cadence, revealed that the book held the chronicles of a secret society that had once thrived within the confines of the French Quarter. Known as La Fraternité des Ombres, the Brotherhood of Shadows, the society delved into forbidden knowledge and practiced rituals that blurred the lines between the mystical and the tangible. As I delved into the pages of the ancient book, a tale of intrigue and dark arts unfolded. The society, led by a charismatic figure named Lucien Duval, had sought to harness the power of shadows to attain immortality. Their rituals, performed in hidden chambers beneath the city streets, had drawn upon the energies of the supernatural. Intrigued by the revelations, I decided to explore the French Quarter by night, guided by the cryptic clues scattered throughout the Brotherhood's chronicles. The narrow cobblestone streets, adorned with wrought iron balconies and flickering gas lamps, whispered tales of a hidden world that existed beyond the veneer of the mundane. As I ventured into the heart of the French Quarter, a series of inexplicable events unfolded. Shadows seemed to dance with a life of their own, elongating and contorting in the dim glow of the streetlights. Faint whispers, reminiscent of incantations, echoed through the alleyways, and the air tingled with a palpable energy. My journey led me to an inconspicuous courtyard, hidden behind a labyrinth of buildings. In its center stood an ancient fountain, adorned with symbols that mirrored those in the Brotherhood's chronicles. The fountain, a forgotten relic of the secret society, seemed to pulse with a spectral energy that beckoned me to unravel its mysteries. As the clock struck midnight, the courtyard transformed into a surreal tableau. Shadows coalesced, forming ethereal figures that mirrored the long-lost members of the Brotherhood. Lucien Duval, their enigmatic leader, materialized at the fountain's center, his gaze piercing through the veil of time. The spectral gathering unfolded into a reenactment of the society's rituals, a dance of shadows and whispered incantations that transcended the boundaries of the living and the departed. The air resonated with a mystic energy, and the courtyard became a conduit between the past and the present. In the midst of the spectral ritual, I realized that the Brotherhood sought more than immortality. They yearned for redemption. Lucien Duval, burdened by the consequences of his quest for power, gazed upon me with eyes that held both remorse and gratitude. With a surge of supernatural energy, the courtyard embraced a profound stillness. The spectral figures dissipated, and the fountain stood as a silent witness to the resolution of the Brotherhood's legacy. The French Quarter, once cloaked in the shadows of esoteric secrets, reclaimed its vibrancy. Leaving the mystical enclave behind, I carried the memory of the Brotherhood's tale, a testament to the thin veil that separates the mystical from the tangible. New Orleans, with its rich tapestry of history and magic, held within its streets the echoes of a secret society that sought redemption in the dance of shadows. 10th Story, by Elijah Harper. Amidst the rugged landscapes of the Scottish Highlands, where ancient castles whisper tales of bygone eras, I stumbled upon Dunhaven Castle, a brooding fortress perched atop a windswept cliff. Its towering spires and weathered stones seemed to guard a history steeped in both grandeur and tragedy. My exploration of Dunhaven Castle began with an invitation from a distant relative, Lady Isabel Mackenzie. The castle, nestled within the mist-shrouded hills, had been in the Mackenzie family for generations. Lady Isabel, the last living descendant, sought assistance in unraveling the mysteries that haunted the ancient fortress. As I traversed the castle's echoing corridors, adorned with tapestries that depicted the clan's storied history, a sense of unease settled within the air. Whispers, carried by the drafts that swept through the stone passageways, hinted at a legacy of secrets that clung to the castle like a spectral shroud. One night, as a storm raged outside, Lady Isabel shared the haunting tale of Dunhaven Castle. Centuries ago, a forbidden love affair had blossomed between Lady Isabel's ancestor, Eamon Mackenzie, and a servant named Moira. The clandestine romance, discovered by the clan's patriarch, led to a series of tragic events that left Dunhaven Castle steeped in sorrow. Driven by a desire to uncover the truth, Lady Isabel and I embarked on a journey into the castle's hidden chambers. Secret passages, concealed behind tapestries and false walls, led us to forgotten rooms that bore witness to the bygone drama. In one such chamber, we discovered a cache of letters exchanged between Eamon and Moira, a testament to a love that defied societal norms. As we delved deeper into the castle's secrets, a series of inexplicable events unfolded. Phantom footsteps echoed through the halls, and the scent of heather, Moira's favorite flower, permeated the air. Shadows danced along the walls, as if the spirits of the past sought to communicate their untold tales. The heart of the mystery lay in the castle's ancient chapel, a place of both sanctity and tragedy. Lady Isabel and I, armed with candles and a sense of trepidation, conducted a séance within the chapel's sacred confines. The air thickened with the spectral energy, and the flickering candlelight cast ethereal shadows on the worn stones. Through the séance, the spirits of Eamon and Moira manifested, a spectral reunion that transcended the boundaries of time. The lovers, bound by a tragic fate, spoke of unresolved emotions and the need for redemption. The castle, it seemed, bore witness to a love that endured even in the afterlife. Determined to bring closure to the lingering spirits, Lady Isabel and I sought the guidance of a local medium. Together, we conducted a ritual within the chapel, a poignant ceremony that aimed to release the spirits from the shackles of their tragic past. As the ritual reached its climax, a luminous glow enveloped the chapel. The apparitions of Eamon and Moira, their faces aglow with both sorrow and gratitude, dissipated into the ether. The castle, once haunted by the echoes of forbidden love, stood in solemn silence. Leaving Dunhaven Castle behind, Lady Isabel and I carried the weight of its haunted history, a reminder that the tendrils of the past can reach through the centuries. The Scottish Highlands, with its rugged beauty and ancient castles, held within its embrace the tales of love and loss that lingered in the shadows of Dunhaven. Thank you for sticking with us through the whole video. Also, I recommend you this video you see on screen, one of the scariest on my channel. If you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe and like this video. This helps me bring you more thrilling content every day. If this video sent shivers down your spine, let me know in the comments.